set. I thought it was a heck of a college basketball game. Villanova deserves a ton of credit for some of the big shots that they made down the stretch. I thought our guys fought and battled, stayed together, stayed connected. We got some huge stops to cut it to a 1-point lead. Obviously we're not able to get over the hump on a couple of those possessions late. The possession that was, I think, second to last possession where Mike ended up getting the three. He's one of our best shooters on our team. And, man, if you told me Mike Phillips is going to get an open three, we'll take that all day long. Obviously didn't make it. But I told him in the locker room, you're going to shoot that ball a lot of times in the course of your career, and you're going to make that shot a lot of times. NJ was terrific. He led us in aggressiveness and he led us in poise. So we got to keep working with all of our guys to turn both of those up with 5 guys on the floor.
That last minute, were you trying to, NJ was talking about how they were denying him and jumping him off of screens. Were you trying to get him the ball in the last minute?
Well, he had the ball coming down the floor in the second to last play and then passed it. That was just, a situation where it seemed like we had, their defense wasn't set. Our guys were attacking. The ball kind of got bounced around on the side there, and we ended up getting an open shot for Mike, so we'll take that. And then on an out-of-bounds play, there was a couple different options. They defended it well. The last play was 7 seconds left. We were down 3, and by that time, you could go for a quick 2, but it's not quite enough time. So a couple different options that they did a good job taking away.
Offensively, I think this was probably one of the better games of the season. What do you think the difference was today between, about a month ago or so?
Well, I think that when our guys played with a combination of aggressiveness and poise, we were better on the offensive end, and NJ led the way with that. Royce got going, although, I told Royce after, we got to find a way to get him even more opportunities because, when that ball is in his hands, particularly around the basket, a lot of good things happen. He got to the foul line tonight, which was big. We made more threes. It's amazing how the scoreboard moves. We had a really good stretch there in the first half where we were making shots. Unique game in that NJ made 7 threes. Hopefully that's a good omen for his shooting moving forward.
Not been the best month for Chase, not what we saw at the start of the year. Just how does he have to get back to where he was in November?
Well, first thing is he's got to get well. He was under the weather tonight and today and really battled. One thing about Chase Ross and Ben Gold, those guys, they give you what they have physically. And, I appreciate Ben. His ankle was really, really banged up coming into the game. But to answer your question, how does he need to get back to where he was in November? I think, obviously he was getting to the foul line much, much more. He was able to create contact. I thought there was a couple tonight that could have been called but that weren't or today. But I think it starts there. Him getting in transition, which he had some of against Xavier the other night. Him getting to the foul line, getting in the paint. The way teams are guarding us, they're going to give him a lot of attention. He's got to be stronger with the ball. And then, he saw a couple three-point shots go in today, which is a step in the right direction because it had been a while since he'd made many from outside. But that's one where, we want to keep getting him open looks from 3. That last one obviously wasn't open, but we want to get as many open looks as we can. And he's got to be on balance, take his time, and shoot it in.
I know you talked about the last play, but it's not the first time this year you've been in these end of regulation situations where you can draw up a play. Just what isn't working on them, or why is it still not? Why are you guys still not able to convert on those?
Well, on that one, like I said, they defended it well. There's a few different things you can do when you need a 3, and so we tried one of them. None of them are necessarily foolproof. I would say, over the course of the season, some of the plays down the stretch have been, it's a combination of execution, having a young team and some guys out there that are not, quite maybe seasoned enough to do what exactly we need to do. But that comes back to me and us as coaches is finding a way to put him in a simple spot. The one that hurt us was, I think out of the timeout before that, we had an execution breakdown of what we talked about in the huddle and didn't end up getting really much of a shot. I think Trey had a late three. That's the one we gotta do way better.
I know BG got banged up last game. Did he aggravate that ankle
Yes.
earlier today?
Yeah. Well, no, he aggravated it Wednesday. Didn't practice the last couple of days, and then he was always planning to go today, but it was clear that he gave his best he could, but he just didn't. He couldn't push off the same way with the ankle. So hopefully, with a couple of days, he'll be better on Tuesday.
With NJ, we've talked about him learning the balance between hunting for his own shot and playmaking as a freshman guard. How have you seen his evolution over this whole season?
I think his confidence has grown a lot. Today was he was really aggressive from three. And it's not normally 3/4 of his shots from the 3-point line, but he had that going, and that's the way they were guarding. Those were all good shots. But I think his aggressiveness has been terrific. And, what's been really good is his voice has ramped up as his aggressiveness on the floor has ramped up. I mean, he's the guy now, we're 17 games into the year that speaks up more than anyone in our huddles. And guys listen, because the way he's playing, and there's a respect level that they have for him. And so the next step is him just continuing to be a leader on the floor in all the little areas where we need to grow, and all the nuances of the game that typically freshmen, don't quite get yet. But, he has to learn that faster than most just because of the position he's in.
Can you talk about some of the rotations that you had in crunch time? There were 3 freshmen and a sophomore primarily at the end and even in the first half. Can you talk about their development and why you feel more comfortable with that?
Well, just, Ben was banged up, so that's why we couldn't play him quite as much. Michael Phillips is someone that, is really emerging in practice. He's a guy that, he's going to be a really good basketball player here at Marquette. And, we trusted him, and we're going to continue to trust him and put him in critical times. Obviously, Adrian and NJ have earned their way into the starting lineup. Royce, as a sophomore, is, I think along with NJ, those are our 2 best offensive players right now. So all those guys need to be in the game, for different reasons. In the Big East, that's challenging when you have that many young guys. But, those guys, I think with each game have an opportunity to grow and move forward. And I think what's most important is those guys coming together around, again, the details of what's going to allow us to get more team scores and team stops. There was some possessions late that, we were right there to get a stop, and then either we didn't get the rebound or we didn't finish it. These moments will, as long as we approach it the right way, will galvanize our guys to do a little bit more in those exact same moments moving forward, because they're going to be together for a while.
NJ kind of talked about his leadership a little bit, how it's grown, and you mentioned his leadership. Where have you seen from the time he came on campus to now his leadership grow on the team?
Well, he's grown a great deal as a person. It's nobody really wants to hear about. They want to hear about just the basketball, and obviously 7 made threes is unbelievable. 31 points and 6 assists. But that doesn't happen without personal growth. There's a level of self-security that he has now that he didn't have, 3 months ago, 6 months ago, and that is a testament to, 1, his work, 2, his trust of the people around him, whether it's coaches, players, the system that we have, and 3, his character. And so it's exciting because, one of the things that's great about older players is they usually have a little bit more security in themselves to understand that they can weather storms or they can weather tough moments and that they're okay. We're seeing that really better and better with NJ as a freshman. And if he can keep growing in that way, then he can be a point guard floor leader that impacts everyone around him. And that's really when you're special at that position. So I'm excited about the growth that he's making. He really, really wants to win, so he gets down, after a game like today because he knows it's not just about, stats or playing well. But I got a feeling he's got a lot of winning in his future.